Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Town of Ankrum Planning Board meeting for June 4th, 2026. Sarah, could you call the roll, please?
Joe Parker,
Present.
Rondolo,
Present.
Palmer Erdem,
Here.
Beth Willis, here. Christine Brown, here. Darren Orchard,
Here.
Bill Hack. Don Jess.
Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 full-time members, and I'd like to welcome Darren Mosler. He's our new alternate. He came over from the zoning board, so we welcome him. So, correspondence, Sarah? Okay, all right, so let's just go to the minutes so we can get them done. Okay, these are the April 2nd, 2026 minutes. I was present, Jessica was present, Dawn is absent now, Christine was present, and Palmer was present. So have you read them? Any comments, changes, concerns? Can I get a motion?
Make a motion to approve the April minutes, 9/26.
All in favor?
Second.
So I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Now on to the May 7th minutes. I was present, Don is absent, Palmer, Bill is absent, Tom is present, so we have 1, 2, 3. All right, have you read the May 7th minutes? Any concerns, thoughts, changes? Can I get a motion?
Make a motion to approve the May 7th, 2026 minutes.
All in favor?
I'll second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. The May 7th minutes are approved. Let's see. That's it for the minutes, okay. Oh, that's done. So moving on to the first application, HUD Val YCP LLC, abbreviated site plan. 1391 County Route 7. Is anybody here? Okay, we'll come back to it at the end if somebody shows up. Woody Bax. Abbreviated site plan for 148 Fox Hill Road.
Yes, hi, I'm Alex Grayson from Winston Solar Solutions, with a contractor for the solar project at his site. It is a 66 kW DC, 50 kW AC. The dairy farm, operational dairy farm, looking to add solar to offset 101% of their electricity. So that is it's a ground mounted solar system. It's 2 arrays. I believe the plans have it documented, but the larger of the arrays, the first array, 97 feet wide, 6.5 wide, and then the depth is 16 feet, 7.1 inches. The second array is 82 feet, 6.25 inches. Depth is again 16 feet, 7.4 inches.
They're one in front of the other.
Yes. They are shielded by the dairy barn and the surrounding barns. There is no visibility from any adjacent properties. As you can see, there's a diagram on the original document site plan, that is sheet number 91. It's 2,400 feet to the north, over 1,000 feet to the west, 1,300 feet plus from the southwest, and 600 feet from the city. The east is a large nozzle, it's like a large bill, so it's kind of shielded against that. That's what
Very quick question.
Yes.
You have roof mount solar systems, is that correct?
That's not correct. The ground mounted solar system.
Okay, just checking.
That's a major error. I apologize.
It's just a typo.
Yes. Inside of the.
And it's approximately
3/4 of an acre? No, 0.0. It's cut off on my.
So the disturbance of the array is it's 0.0075 acres, that is the ground screws, and then the 250 foot trench, which the trench will be temporary, that'll be dug. We'll lay the wire, we'll cover it, so yeah, that will be temporary disturbance, the total of which is 0.0075 acres.
Where's the equipment going?
In what sense, sorry?
Don't you have? You know, equipment that has to be mounted somewhere?
Inverters.
Oh, yes, there's a stanchion, just off, and you can see. There's an existing transformer on the site plan. So there's an existing equipment room where the main service panel is, just off of that to the east, you see an existing transformer, we're adding a stanchion there where the new equipment is right next to it.
Okay.
So there's 5 PV inverters, total
Yeah.
10 kWs and
Yeah. And there's no batteries
all
involved.
batteries, just solar.
And the height of that.
The array itself.
Yeah.
So the height of the array. Is. 11.5 feet, 139 inches.
And is this feeding back into the grid or is it solely to provide power for the farm?
So it'll be just solely providing power to the farm. It will be a net metered system for the grid,
Okay.
but it'll just be to create those free credits for the farm to use. So this is 100% used for the farm's operation.
So I'm trying to get it where exactly, so you're west of 22. So, because I'm in Boston Corner, so that's why, so you're up on the hill?
So I don't know the area to the point you probably
Oh.
do, but there is a large hill. It is right against it. It's almost as if the hill will cast shade on the array, if that's the hill you're referencing, to the west, to the east, sorry, to the east. There's a large hill right against it.
Oh, it's St. Bernard's is here,
Yeah,
22 is here,
yeah,
and then this is like up. So this is a little, if we're talking elevation, this would be a little bit less than like over mountain. So like
Okay.
over mountains here, this is here.
right, all right. Yeah, I was just wondering whether it's
Sure.
visible from the Under Mountain Road side that looks west. There's a number of houses there that all look on that
Got it.
I think
hillside.
it's on,
But I don't see it,
There's
I don't see any sign of a farm or
coffee
any building
here.
there anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's on this side
Yeah,
of it,
okay.
the peak, yeah.
Okay.
I don't think.
And this is their property is at the end of Box Hill Road, so it kind of blends into where
Yeah.
the meter is, and then it's beyond the
Behind
meter,
the barn.
probably another 1,000 feet that the barn is, so it is at the end of the road and then beyond, it's their road, yeah.
Okay.
And I know the goal tonight for us at least was that due to the accelerated review for the 50 kW farm operation solar system, that was our attempt for tonight to get that. And a secret determination as well.
Based on what we did on another similar array for another farm, was we had, I think, asked for the fire department to verify access. On this build.
Yeah.
And that would be for a ground mounted system?
Yeah.
Okay.
Joe, when we did, was I?
Right.
Ronnie Brook, yeah. Joe, when we did Ronnie Brook, I think we had asked for the fire department to comment on access.
Yeah, probably.
Okay,
You wanna do that here?
We've got fire department here. Fire department here.
So, anyone who can work.
Yeah. No, we're going here early. There's a couple of them here. Say it again.
I mean, we'd be putting the fire out in the barn, so I'm assuming we get the ready. I mean, that would be the reality.
Yeah, the arrays are away from the buildings. Yeah, all the electrical equipment will be.
I mean, back spot that far right after the verge of the ground. So.
How much distance is between the barn and the,
The barn and the array, I don't know if I have that exact number, it is. Geez, I would have to get that number for you, I don't.
Looks like about 50 feet.
Yeah, it's about, I would say, if we're gonna use a rough number, it's probably
And we
50 to 75 feet.
Not from the array to the barn, no.
I know.
There are two routes to get to that area. There's an exterior road that surrounds to the south around the barn. So you come in where that 1087 number is, you can come that way, and you can also come into the east.
I can't scale that. All right. I can't think. Where did they come up with scale of 128?
Yeah.
Doesn't exist. All right, I was gonna scale it to get an idea, but
Sure.
not at that scale. No. It's considerably behind the barn, it's not right up against it. You want more information than that, or?
Well, I just to be consistent, I didn't know if we needed the same letter that we did for the other one, that's all, really.
I don't know, did we get a letter?
We got something, I remember that, because we talked
Yeah,
about
we
the
had-
issue about whether they could have access, like,
I think that was a much larger, array.
yeah, it was, there was
with
multiple
roads
arrays,
and,
yeah.
I mean,
No, I mean, I agree, looking at this, there's access around.
It's really
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just want to make sure we're being,
There is. poles.
You submitted DEAF, which isn't required, this is an almost match, so. You don't have to do that.
Okay.
But thanks for submitting.
All right.
Um. Any other, this a public hearing?
No.
No. Can I get a motion to declare the application complete?
I'll make a motion to declare the application complete.
I'll second.
All in favor? Yes, can we get a motion on a decision? I would assume to approve. Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't want to confuse.
I'll make a motion to approve the photovoltaic ground mounted system at this 148 Foxville Road.
Second? All in favor? Aye. So, you're good, you know, go to the building department, I don't.
It is.
Yep. Got it, okay. Just.
And I apologize for asking if this isn't the time of ask for a secret determination. Okay.
That's what I said, you filled out the form. And it's an.
Yep, understood. Thank you. Okay, Joe. Thank you very much. I appreciate everybody.
Well,
Here.
What?
Did you first agenda opposed to?
the first agenda item is on Zoom.
But
I thought we said that they had.
They're for the application, or they want to present the application. They will.
Hello. My name is Jason Epstein from Hudval. Unfortunately, my architect, Terry Porter, had an emergency, couldn't make it tonight. So I am kind of jumping in here, a little bit unprepared, but everything was filed. So I guess if you guys can lead me through it, ask any questions. We are applying for a legalize an ADU on the property at 1391 County Route 7. That is a pre-existing.
Gonna ask you to lead us through it. Yeah.
I'll do the best I can, I guess. So like I said, I'm not the architect. So I haven't been working on this. I'm one of the partners in the ownership entity, but there is a house on Route 7. Probably can see it by looking out the window there. That was a foreclosure, and it was being used as a single family, as well as another 2 apartments and a barn in the rear. That was, I guess, had been that way for 20 or so years illegally. The property was purchased probably 6 months ago. And we are applying to have the unit in the back, the barn, what was formerly a barn, approved as a ADU for the top floor, which is about 850 square feet, and just leaving the ground floor as storage.
Reducing the size of the building.
Well, we're reducing the usage of the, I guess currently it was being used as a non-compliant multifamily, as a two apartments, one on the ground floor, one on the second floor. And we are proposing that the second floor apartment stay. It's 850 square feet. So that would probably be in compliance with an ADU square footage. And just basically gutting out the first floor and using that for a storage.
Yeah, you're reducing the size of the footprint. You may not be aware of that, but you are. Cutting off, I guess, the side of the building. Um,
I think Perry's waiting for a determination, a zoning determination, from the town attorney. I'm not sure if he received that or not, but I think it sounded like the easiest path. I think originally we were looking at making an artist studio on the ground floor and having an apartment up on the second floor, but that seemed to be a more difficult path, it sounded like. So we were fine just keeping the second floor apartment, which is actually in decent shape, and just, gutting out the first floor, which is in pretty bad shape.
Are you using the
And
same,
the building inspector has been to the property before.
are you keeping the same septic?
We are unfortunately having to rebuild the septic. We've been digging around the property for a while and haven't really found much of a septic or something very archaic near the single family in the front. So we're waiting for this before we hire a septic engineer who's going to have to go in there and redesign the septic system. But we figured we'd wait until designing it to find out what we are actually allowed, or for how many bedrooms we will need there. There's some form of septic that's been there for a while, but and it's in the front of the yard near the single family in the front.
Right.
But it doesn't look to be appropriate. I'm guessing. I'm not a septic engineer or person, but from the initial digging we did, it seemed like it probably would need a new septic.
Wouldn't we need that in the letter?
I'm getting, this was a barn. It wasn't a habitable structure. So not knowing what you're gonna do with the septic is concerning. You're looking for an old one. That
But we planned on rebuilding the septic completely for whatever. Like I said, I think the septic is old and not adequate for anything. So, based on that, if the existing house has a 3-bedroom in the front, and then if this is a 2-bedroom in the back, we would build a new septic, brand new one that would accommodate 5-bedroom.
I think we need to see where that would be.
Yeah, you're doing
It
one
was
septic
built-
for 2 buildings, 2 separate septics.
I think it'd be 1 septic we were planning on, but like I said, we haven't gotten that far. Terry had recommended we come here first before getting a septic engineer in. Maybe we should have done it the other way, but that was his recommendation, to come here and then build the septic according to what we are permitted. and just follow those guidelines. So,
I think you have to go to the health department. Both of them need a well or something. What does,
there are two wells on the property right now.
well, they don't show, that's, what does make me nervous is that leaving a floor of a building empty with no use just breeds, contempt, in my opinion. No, I'm not happy with that use because become another apartment, become more bedrooms,
Like I said, we wanted to have it as an artist studio. We're happy to do that. But I think there's some pushback
I think.
where it was like,
Yeah, it's an accessory structure. And I think the concern is we don't want to start turning them into rental buildings for more than one use, which I think would be,
right,
you know, like a semi-commercial, everybody be putting up these little buildings and renting them to anybody and everybody, which I think is not a good.
well, I think for the artists too, there's some confusion. It wasn't meant to be commercial. It was meant to be for whoever's renting the apartment to use the studio, use the below as their own artist studio. So whoever the tenant would be, have use of a studio on the ground floor. Not, well,
Yeah, well, yeah,
right.
you're telling a story in pieces, so we need, application of what it is. I think you need to show the wells, and I think you need to get a septic plan for us to move this forward. It's just too sketchy, in my opinion. I don't know how the rest of the board feels.
I think it's too hard to understand the impact without knowing where the septic is, where the field is, where the wells are.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure I can show you where the existing septic is. I can have them put that on the plan and where the two wells are. I mean, what would you like to see there? I guess you have a building that was run illegally as a multifamily for 20 plus years with multiple electric meters. So we came in and we bought the property. I'd rather not tear it down. I don't think that would be a good use, really, to rip it down.
It
So,
currently is not habitable at this point, so. We need information about the septic.
Huh?
Um,
Right.
I don't know if this has been reviewed for zoning. I mean, the entire building in the rear yard setback is.
Yeah, it's 10 feet, right?
yes, yeah, from here, we're planning to get we're planning to get a variance. If this was approved, we would go for a variance right after this. That was gonna be the next step, to get a variance.
You got the system backwards. You go get the variance first, and then you come back to us. And we'll decide whether we're approving the site. Doesn't work the other way.
Like I said, I'm not the architect. I just got called in the last minute, but I'll definitely go by your advice on that. And we'll go to Zan. I think try to go to zoning, get the variance first. Does the zoning need to know what the use is of that building for the variance, or?
Absolutely, absolutely. And they may have the same concern. Leaving a whole
How
floor
can,
vacant is just not a good. People are gonna be in there doing things that they're not supposed to be. That's my recommendation. Put some more information. If you want to hire a septic engineer, I would hire a sanitary engineer at this point, find out what you're dealing with. Who knows what you need to do? It's not like it used to be. The health department doesn't design the system for you anymore. You have to hire a sanitary engineer.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
You're premature for us to approve anything at this point. It's just, you gotta get us more information and you gotta go eat your zoning. That's the extent of it.
all right, so I guess I'll go to ZBA. We'll have them go to ZBA, ask for a variance.
Yeah.
They need to approve one.
Maybe what?
They need to approve one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's in the code. Yeah.
They don't even
It's
have a
not a-
well.
it's not a surprise. We're not hiding anything. That being
Sorry, I
said,
couldn't hear that. I couldn't hear the last part, but,
No, the requirements for the abbreviated site plan are in the code, so.
okay.
You know, this is a good preliminary look-see, but find out what else you need, but it's not gonna get you an approval. Not now or in the future. You need to go get us more information.
Okay.
Okay?
All right, so if I want to get put on the zoning, sorry, if I want to get put on the zoning calendar, should I set that up? I guess I'll file plans with the clerk and have my architect file, get on the agenda, go to zoning. Right, get them, assuming you have everything that they need.
Follow up with our clerk, or our clerk will follow up with you.
Okay,
Okay?
all right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
And now. Neighbors here going back and forth like. Sky high. Sky high.
I don't know how much matters, but I recuse myself.
Yes, yes, yes. We get plans?
No, you did not.
Okay.
Good evening. My name is Ryan Laux. I'm with Crawford and Associates Engineering. Here with Josh Hill from Sky High Farms. We submitted some correspondence to the board, and before we had made a full application submission, we wanted to come in and just discuss our approach to the comments from the last board meeting. It seemed like a lot of the comments and concerns had to do with the septic systems or the ability for the lots to obtain septic system permits in the future. So one of the things we've done, we didn't submit this yet, but we will, is we've increased the lot sizes to be 1 acre, giving more room for both lots to support septic system. The other thing we did was we had a conversation with the county regarding the well. They don't permit wells unless it's a public water supply, which has 5 or more connections or a number of users far more than 2 single family homes. So there's no permitting from the county's perspective on the well. We agree there should be some legal mechanisms in place, so the owners are working with an attorney for maintenance and upkeep of the wells. There'll be an agreement for shared costs and then the rights to
You're
maintain.
gonna land up with a homeowners association of some sort. In order to define its file with,
It would be an easement. The well remains on Sky High Farms property, and so we would enter into an agreement that gives both of the homes access to water and perpetuity.
you may need to get some legal counsel on that. I don't know how that's gonna fly.
We have, yeah, then this is done before.
I don't know how that's gonna fly, you know, going forward with a purchase, because the well goes bad.
The well is brand new. It was just drilled by 5 an hour.
Okay. Since the last meeting.
It had been drilled and now it's hooked up and both owners are using the well.
In the same fashion we saw the last time.
Well, the difference now is that there are 2 homes accessing 1 well as opposed to 3 homes accessing 1.
Okay, that's the difference. I'm not gonna say yes or no. Our code says you gotta provide. Well,
It just says access to water and sewer. So you have provided that, the means are there.
I'm not happy with the method, but if it's permitted, then we'll have to go with it. That being said, what else do you have?
So it's mostly just wanted to verify that making the parcel of 1 acre to try to satisfy the concern of the board. And then the understanding that the county had provided us correspondence that they don't permit existing systems, but because the systems are there, unless they were looking to install new, there would be no permit from the county. So we want to make sure we're not, the anticipation is not to submit applications to the county because the existing septic systems are there. So we just want to make sure the board is agreeable to that.
I'm not, no, you have to do septic testing on it. So. Just because the lot's bigger doesn't mean it's septic approval.
Certainly, so would it be acceptable if we were to go on each of these lots, perform deep tests, verify the soils and prepare a narrative speaking to the ability to the lots to support a septic system for residents? We don't have to go through the permitting
You don't
process.
have to
with
go
the
through
county.
permitting.
Okay,
If we're gonna grant a subdivision, we have to be confident that it's gonna pass.
Yep.
Okay, I understand this is a unique circumstance. But if, you know, you dig 6 inches and it's all rock. I don't know, what are we gonna do?
I mean, there are septic systems that would be designed based off of that, understood, but no, we will go.
For $1 million plus whatever.
And that's kind of that comes with the property. There is the ability for the parcel to support a septic system. What we're gonna be able to provide the board in a narrative fashion. It's not gonna be a county health department approval, but it'll be a narrative from our office speaking to the results of the testing and that a bedroom system can be installed.
Yeah, and if you come across what's there, that would be interesting, because God knows what it is.
Yeah, we can talk to the owners and do a little bit of investigation while we're there. There's always a risk trying to dig around systems, so we try to be as cautious as we can, so.
I wouldn't be surprised if they're all cesspools at this time.
Understood,
You
yep,
know, and that ain't a great way to fly.
understood. So based on what we've just discussed tonight, we're gonna go forward with. We will submit this plan for the next month's meeting, but we'll also go forward and we'll do a little soil investigation to be able to provide that narrative.
Heat test, pit
Yep.
test.
Yep.
And, you know, radius to wherever the well is that you're
But yeah,
100 feet or whatever, and, I'd like you to show a potential well on the site location, just the location that it will fit.
if the parcel itself was gonna be installing its own well,
Yeah,
okay.
I just had that.
Yeah.
But you got some odd shapes there, and just, you know, wanna be comfortable that these are buildable lots, so somebody can take the trailers away. You made a big improvement by increasing the size on this and stuff.
Understood. So yeah, we will plan to resubmit everything for next month's meeting. So wonderful. Thank you.
You're welcome. Oh, boy. What? I'm fumbling around.
It's two.
Okay. Okay. I don't know. Thank you.
Is this one or two?
All right, next application.
One applicant, two separate.
BDA-A
Very confusing.
LLC. Abbreviated site plan 2603, and we could do them simultaneously. Let's just get the first one first and the second one second.
Hello, sir.
Hello there, you're back.
I'm back. So since we last spoke, I submitted, I believe, for this meeting, a driveway profile and got a SWIP for the second lot since the service was had grown to a greater than acre. And I believe I turned those in.
Okay,
There are a little bit. Anyhow. Since then, so also we were going to ask for. Well, no, we've applied to Columbia County Board of Health and the septic approval. I since, just in the last few days, got comments back, so I brought a drawing plan that modifies the septic systems immaterially, just based on minor changes in the location of one of the reserve system and adding setback and benchmarks and some paperwork, housekeeping details on the drawings.
were they in the general area where they were originally proposed?
Yes. I brought a copy for all of you of the comment letter from the county.
Okay, but the county is hiring outside people.
Correct, yes, so that came from
Came from who?
CHA.
No.
And so that contains a letter for both of the lots. Lot 1. We submitted just an increase with the same location from 4 to 6 bedrooms. And that was kind of tentatively approved on one of the letters.
Slow down.
Yeah.
Which one is lot 1? I'm trying to figure, I can't see a number.
Which up?
No.
Lot 1 is the lower one there.
Okay, just looking for a 1. Lot 1, okay.
There you
You
go.
got it, okay.
And so that septic system has been increased in size 4 to 6 bedrooms, and the second letter that you hands on there says basically I need to write a letter saying that I will certify the previous approval for 4 bedrooms, take that under my stamp. And the changes to 6 bedrooms, which I made, I posted the drawings I changed. So they want certification that I.
So you're amending a prior approval with your drawings?
Correct.
Okay.
And
Sounds a little money to me, but
having done the deeds and perks for lot two, I can say that the ground fairly uniform and the previous perk tests from Catterskill Associates, that were approved for the 4 bedrooms is representative of what's in the ground there. So I'm comfortable with doing that. Lot two, I made the changes, there are 5, 6 action items there, I believe. I made those changes at our copies, so you'd like to see, but, those kind of last minute, so I didn't get a chance to make a bunch of copies. I should be able to submit those changes tomorrow.
in my recollection from the original subdivision, the driveways were independent. Now you got,
That driveway was existing before, the current owners were there, they're the. The driveway was put in, however, we did give you a driveway profile, and there's some spots that are over 10%. And, so what we're hoping for is conditional approval. Site plan approval, based on regrading the driveway in those spots. And getting, of course, getting the, Columbia County.
I mean,
Are those, I'm
yeah,
sorry.
I. Even though the driveway was there in whatever fashion, I think you have an ownership problem without some form of cyclical easement or something with the 2 property owners. You can't just sell property and say, hey, you can drive over. It doesn't work that way.
So the driveway agreement would be in order.
Something, you know, you're gonna have to make whatever title company or whoever's gonna happy. I mean,
Right.
you know, you have frontage, but you know, you're using somebody else's property to access your property, so I don't know.
Then you have a maintenance issue on the driveway.
Well, it can get,
Yeah.
yeah, it could get very involved, so.
Given it the slope of these lots, it would be difficult to make it 2 independent driveways.
Well, not if you put the house lower. That was the original point. The houses were lower. You put the house up on the top.
No, well, I didn't, this is where things were previous to the approval, the locations have changed, immaterial.
Yeah. But the houses are up at the top, so yeah, get up there. And you can't see, I know it's been, chief left, but in our experience that nobody approves more than a 10% driveway.
Right, and so the driveway profile that I prepared, which we did bring 7 copies, and then they were turned in time to get on the agenda.
Yeah, you gotta bring full-size copy.
That's okay, and that's what, so regardless. We have,
Nice word regardless, but it doesn't give me a full-size copy.
we have problem spots here in the circle that are above 10%.
Okay.
That current, one minor one here, and this is not yet constructed. And so what we're gonna do is regrade these to this 10%. We'll verify that with GPS, make the changes to the elevation profile as it exists. Continue on getting the Board of Health approval for this lot, and write my letter for this one.
Okay.
But now you want to see the driveway.
I'm just telling you that I see a problem with it. I mean, I don't remember driveways crossing the property line with prior approval.
This is certainly how it came as the 3-lot subdivision prior to this.
If this was a new,
Only 2 lots were sold. This is the 3rd one
Yeah.
over this lot.
yeah, I don't know, we have. It needs an easement or some sort of something. I don't know if we can approve it.
There is, that's already bought that.
There's an easement?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, well, then the easement should be on the map. Easement should be plotted on the map, so we know that the driveway is in the easement.
Okay.
It's just, you know. It's,
Get a copy of the easement.
excuse me?
Get a copy of the easement for the planning board record.
Yeah, yeah.
Usually it's written on the plan, right?
Yeah, generally it's on this, on the subdivision map. It was an easement granted. Was it granted recently or?
It was granted to Scott Cohen, who rebought the property.
Okay, we need documentation and I'd like to see it plotted.
Okay.
On the map, let the surveyor plot it so that we know that the driveway is in it. If you're redesigning a driveway, you better be sure that it's in the easement.
Okay.
Well, that solves that problem. We just need the information.
If the third lot, saying that the third lot over here,
That's,
okay, is that gonna share the driveway too, or is that gonna have direct access?
no, it's got its own spur up over here.
Okay, so the same thing.
Right.
Thorough.
Like you said, that should all exist to Scott Home in the original subdivision.
Right, okay.
I don't remember it as part of the original subdivision. So
Okay, I was
something,
part of it.
I understand. If it happened afterwards, we need the documentation so
Okay.
that we don't approve the problem.
So that can be okay.
Yeah.
As it does.
And I'm pretty confident that exists. I'm pretty confident that exists.
Okay. And then, we'll do the regrading, verify this with 10% GPS, going to verify, and then I'll put the easement on the map. And continue on, with, submit my changes to the comments for every kind of, for it all.
Yes. You like you got your work cut out. Getting closer. You submitted the SWIFT, I heard.
Yeah, we got a SWIFT for both lots. Right.
I'm the landscape architect on the job, and so I've got a drawing that shows the regrading of the driveway, if that's helpful at all.
Not at this point.
Oh.
Yeah, we're gonna wanna see it.
Sure.
Thank you for providing it, but we gotta see that it's in the easement. Everything has to come together,
Not at all.
all on one map.
That's it for now.
Good for now. This is dismissed. Thank you. See you next time.
Yeah, you, I shall return.
Okay, I got the letter for the other lot, that was fine, so I thought it would be.
Yeah.
Right, the request for the waiver,
Oh.
thank you.
Great, thank you.
That,
That's
that,
fine.
Say again?
they're gonna bring us. The reference to that.
We'll get on. I was asked for, the set of architectural plans. I don't recall an updated map, I think. Yeah, but
They're all over something.
the last map for the site plan that, we did find approved here was done without any current changes, it shouldn't need it.
I don't know which one would.
Oh, we talked about something, bringing something.
Architectural plans is all I've heard from, and those, you need to bring those to, the Corrado or you can go and permit, but I think that's the end of that. Okay.
Yeah, I believe so.
Thank you.
Okay, where are we?
Wrong way.
Yeah.
Ankrum Associates. Sylvia and James Adam?
Yeah. Good evening, Sylvia Adams. I'm on behalf of the Ankrum Associates, which is my husband and my two children. Thank you for the opportunity to return to the board. As you may recall, on April 2nd, we had a preliminary review of the site plan and the project. And it was determined that further action would await the approval from the ZBA first. Since then, we've worked with Epirado very many times. We obtained Department of Health approval for the septic system. We completed the requested inspections and testing, submitted revised stamped plans, and received the ZBA approval for both the residential conversion and the required lake setback variance. I prepared a brief summary for the board of those milestones, just to summarize what we have completed. And we are here today for the council to review.
You didn't submit any drawings? Oh, no new drawings or anything?
They are. Ed has. Yeah, only a very small copy, I'm really sorry for this. This is the final. Okay. Copy of this. It's very similar to the original ones. There were some requested changes by the board. I do have the original one, larger copies if you would like that.
Calling this a new barn.
It's residential. It was an old barn, right? That was an original drawing, but then there were two updated.
I'm only reading what it says. It
Correct, and
says
actually,
new
Ed-
barn.
And Ed flagged that, so on the right here, there is updated residential, conversion to residential.
Barn to single.
Yeah, it was listed. There were site visits from.
We got an office on the
From
first
Mr.
floor.
Ferrara, yes. There's a garage on the first floor, an office, a small office for me. And then there's a staircase that goes up to an open floor, studio. That has no extra walls, just a bed in the studio, and it has a bathroom upstairs, and downstairs is a toilet.
And the septic for this was approved for what?
It's for actually up to 3 bedrooms.
Okay.
It's called the WH. We finally. Approval.
I don't know which way. This is all we got, so. Yeah. I mean, according to the architect's plans, you're building a new building. Is that what you're building?
No, it's existing, it's conversion. That's why it says conversion to the of a.
I can read construction drawing, there's a brand new foundation for that. so. Whether you're aware. of
The drawings were from 2018. The
That's
original
what you
one,
showed us.
and he
I can only see
amended,
what You showed us.
he amended that old drawing for Ed's purposes with all the requirements, the smoke detectors, the fire exit, and all that. It is a conversion of a previously approved agricultural structure
It's like a new building.
that has not changed. And there's no change anticipated or planned for any of the parts of the enclosed space. It's the same size.
When did you say the barn was built?
2018. And it was originally built with a driveway, with a septic, with a well and all those. After my son moved in last year, we realized that there was no conversion to the residence, so. That's when,
And so the plans are, you made a comment about the plans being, the drawings are from now, or they're also.
they were updated by the architects.
Okay,
After many discussions with Ed Ferrado and site visits. And so we have 3 outstanding items to clear before we can get the certificate for occupancy. And that is like fireproofing of one wall and clearing head space, because that did not meet residential codes, but the blow door testing, the rest check, all the other components that were required for conversion were all certified.
By who?
So we have official blow door tests from New York State. It's a requirement now for all new residential
aware of-
buildings, right? And I learned about the blow door test. Ed required all of those things from us, so we have that documentation done, and Ed, that's the reason, actually, he signed off on it as well. Yeah.
It's a little special.
You have the health department approval?
I do. Right. We had to go back because we had not received it and Jim Sticker was vital in getting this. Now, it was after we already approved in 2018, but we never got it. Okay, because that's when we.
Very good.
Looked at it.
Everything I'm reading here is new material.
Excuse me?
Everything I'm reading here is like new walls,
new.
new joists. I'm trying to look for something.
We just use their own drawings.
I'm sorry.
Their architect didn't do any drawing, he's using the one he did when he put the building up in 2018.
Oh.
They're not actually doing, you're not actually doing all the work included in the
No,
drawing.
no.
The building exists.
More or less for the requirements that as required, it had to be added to the drawing, because it wasn't on the drawing.
So
what
are we
actually
But the building exists already, and so it really is a question of like.
Yeah, but when was the building built?
2018.
It was built in 2018.
Okay.
This is not an old
And
barn.
nothing has changed.
So what are we
actually looking at on this then?
So then it's taking a newer barn structure to make it residential.
Right.
But what's,
So
the what's the delta between
Uh,
20% and 20?
So that's more or less an as-built we're looking at?
Yeah, and that's it. Well, yeah, it's, let me see.
That's how it exists right now.
So what
No,
is
with-
it currently? Just
all right, but-
empty, it's just a big open space inside.
So I-
Adding rooms and internal.
That's the way
I
it
think
looks
what
right
we're
now.
looking at is really
the way it
the
looks right
breakup of the space into
This is
living
the way it looks
space.
right now.
So all that's still down.
But the way the drawing's calling it out, is calling it out as new. It was new in two thousand
They didn't
eighteen.
have a. They didn't have a-
This was,
Okay.
So that Wilkie Bridge, we gave up the-
Yeah, and
That was
they
before
didn't
me.
have her- No, you were here.
I was?
Right as I went out. Same thing.
I wasn't here at the April meeting, so it's catching up on.
Yes, I do remember that.
And hadn't been approved.
Yes, I remember.
So
Yeah.
now they're going back again.
Same thing. We're doing the same thing we did then.
Now okay. I'm so confused.
So everything is built here.
Oh, with the.
Okay, we're not looking at anything, we're just trying to prove what they already
They
did.
built this deck and finding somebody who requires.
Here, and there's that.
Nothing from us.
Okay.
He's got the health department.
Hey, Joe, may I see that?
That's okay.
That you,
Yeah.
that you did.
The board granted the approval.
Right, and they've got the variant, so.
The variance.
So what do they need from us?
So to get the building permit to add those life safety changes at the bottom.
So it's abbreviated site. plan.
Right.
Yeah. Because they're changing the use.
It's more or less a legalization.
Even though, yeah, it's legal. I think
So they can get their like CO.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Now we got to the bottom.
It's basically saying. The house there.
Yeah.
It was brown.
I thought.
Every time it's like an archaeological dig, I'm like, what am I looking at?
It's all-
It's that barn, the single family dwelling, but.
Okay.
It says new barn.
And first, the meeting I was here before, I was hoping we were going on, but there's something about.
You got a buddy up there?
I have friends. The few and far between, leaving, quitting.
Getting old, retired.
Same thing happened. There's covers and that over here.
All right, let's move this along. All right, so it's an abbreviated site plan. We got through it. It's a conversion. Now it's more or less a legalization and a conversion at the same time. So.
Yeah.
Any other questions, comments, concerns?
All clear.
All clear?
Got it.
All clear. Okay, so. There's an unlisted action. Yeah, it's not, we don't have to see, but. All right, can I get a motion that the application is complete?
Make a motion, the application complete for, purchase this again.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. Can I get a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve the abbreviated site plan review for increment up here that like short five.
Second,
I second.
favor?
Aye.
Aye. You're all set.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We'll send you.
This is the.
It says June.
The decision.
I never saw.
Yeah.
We didn't talk about it during the.
Homeland Towers. Look at that.
Well, they're coming with that.
We got this.
Right.
That's true.
At 8 o'clock, it's almost 8 o'clock. Is Dan on there?
7:57.
Grand community can always go. Well,
Junior,
Right.
wake Junior up, somebody.
If they're going up.
Hello? Is Nan on? Nan?
Well, no, she's still in, but I can bring, take a couple of minutes.
All right, where we want to start with David, or do you want to?
I can start with Dave.
Okay.
I'll be
you
very
go.
brief. Absolutely. Sure, you've heard a lot from me. Again, for the record, my name is David Kenny. I'm an attorney with Snyder and Snyder. I'm here tonight to represent the applicant's Home End Towers Verizon Wireless. This application is for a wireless telecommunication facility proposed at, sorry, got the address of Route 22. And it's, I know, I'm sorry, late night for the game last night. But we had received comments and questions from members of the public as well as members of the board. We have submitted most recently an updated review memo that detailed how we met every single code requirement for this application, both for the telecommunications law as well as the site plan approval. And we have also included in our cover letter responses to some of the public comments from the Conservation Advisory Committee. We respectfully submit that this application has for some time been fully submitted and is responsive to every single code requirement. So at this time, we are here tonight to answer any questions the board may have that they feel have been unanswered, or to discuss any particular aspects of the application that they would want to have final discussions on. But we would like the board to direct their staff to start preparing resolutions for a decision. I think that would be a reasonable request after the length of time that we reviewed this application. But we are here tonight to review any questions you may have and discuss any of the topics that you feel need further discussion.
Just a bit of information, one of the outstanding items, Ed Ferraro rendered an opinion that, a cell tower doesn't require a separate lot. I mean, that's the gist of what he wrote. So, we're past having to create a separate lot. We're fine with the way the site plan has been submitted. So,
Thank you, Joe.
Mr. Lyons.
And I promised the boxes scary. So. We have some things here tonight. So you brought your board up to date on Ed Ferraro's decision. We brought a bunch of copies of that decision, such as it is. So that if there are members of the public tonight that are interested in the decision, it's here.
Okay.
Just confirming posted on the website.
Yeah. And also, we have copies of, David mentioned his review memo, which I think was helpful. And took, the board's going to be embarking upon the site plan review and going through the checklists of NAN. The memo from Mr. Kenny addresses a lot of those issues. So anyway, there are copies of those here, so they'd be copies for the board if you want paper, and copies for me.
That's the one you sent out this afternoon, right, John?
No, this I think David's.
Oh, that's
a
David.
few days
Oh, yeah,
ago.
David.
Yeah, that's David. Yep.
It's
Also, as you know, at the last meeting, the board gave us the task of taking a look at and addressing the Conservation Advisory Committee comments that have been raised over the course of the board's review so far, and we've done that, and I'll get to that in a minute. But as part of that, review, we reached out to Cityscape, who's your RF consultant on this, to talk about just getting, I think
We have a new letter from them, which I'll leave for you. It doesn't really break new ground, but our hope was that it probably communicated in a more focused way. Cityscape's opinions with regard to the height and coverage gap satisfaction. So I have copies of that, again, copies of the board members if they want them, and also there are copies available.
John, that's the one we got today, right?
But
Yes.
did we
Okay.
send that in today? Yeah. And then the last item is Kim and I put together a memo. As I said, we looked through the Conservation Advisory Committee comments that have come out, and we drafted a memo for you. You'll see from our memo that one of the sort of themes that emerges from that memo is that you, as a board, you guys have the discretion and judgment to make determinations about whether the application meets the standards in the law. And we've given you some commentary and some opinions of ours on legal issues, and also sort of framing the issues that have been raised, and giving the hopefully our memo helps you think about, gives you a context and a framework in which to think about those issues. So we sent an electronic version of that out today. We also promised last week that this document would be written and submitted to the board as a public document, not an attorney-client privilege document. So it is available to the public. And again, I have paper copies for the board if they want. And then there are copies available to the public as well, because it hasn't been posted. We'll get it to Sarah so it can get posted in the online file. But anyway, we wanted people, since this was being discussed tonight, to be able to take it home with them if they
Yeah,
wish.
I would love that.
Okay, great. And
I didn't print it because you said you were bringing it with you.
bring it in, got it.
That's so helpful.
Hand these out. Yeah, there's too much to look at tonight, but if we can, if you have questions in the interim, you can reach out
Thank you
to
very
us. And we'll also be available at the next meeting to answer questions that. And then when Joe returns, really the next step for this evening is when Nan's available is to begin your site plan, special use permit, telecommunications law, SCAS, review of the application.
Is Dan on now? Yeah.
Yeah.
I knew it was coming. You want to take a few minutes to read this? Help yourself, plenty of paper. Stand on that.
Yeah, I feel like we should take this away, right?
Think it's written at home.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's too much.
It's too much.
Yeah, okay, just making sure we're all on the same page.
There's a lot of stuff here that just came in today,
I know, that's,
and I read through.
I read the cityscape one, but not this yet.
Making an announcement that the last item.
I think everybody got that message. John, what do you suggest? Anything at this point?
I texted in and I told her that we're ready.
Oh, okay.
I get out.
Did we take Aaron out of this thing? You had to go for boy large, they should be at least, give you a scale no less than 20 or 24 by 36 shots. But there's gonna be times when 26, 45, 23, 48.
See, we were doing too well. We got through all that stuff in 1 hour.
It's amazing.
Oh, well.
While we have the time, we read the letter, I made quick response to some of the comments. answer questions. But we have the time. I know it's very a lot.
In which letter?
The letter to John.
John, it's okay.
You gonna agree with them or are you gonna dispute them?
There's some things we agree on, and some things that they have already been record. It's more of answering questions and proposing the letter.
I don't know, John, should we do that? Let him answer your,
What's that?
should we let David answer your questions or your comments?
Well, it's up to you.
Yeah.
It's a way to use time.
Yeah,
Exactly. Be very clear. So.
take as much time till Nan gets here, then you're done.
So regarding the 0.3 of the special use permit standard, it wasn't really discussed in here, but it was in our memorandum of law. We are a public utility under zoning, so there is a relaxed standard for review of this application under meeting the requirements. That's set forth in New York State zoning law. Regarding the 0.5 and the camouflage, this board did make the determination in its secret finding that the tower design as proposed was camouflaged. With the use of satellite technology and alternate technologies, we disagree with council's interpretation of the cases that are being discussed. We do think that the case law is pretty solid, that it's a field that's wholly preempted by the federal government. So the FCC is actually the only authority can make a technology preference. However, regardless of that, I think the issue of whether or not there were alternative technologies available here were answered by your expert consultant. We reviewed that satellite technology was not an available alternative technology. And we've also reviewed, and your consultant agreed, that DAS or distributed antenna systems would not be an available alternative technology here. So regardless of our disagreements on the case law, we do think even without that limitation, the review showed that there weren't those alternative technologies.
Just back up. What is the discussion about case law? I didn't follow what.
Sure. So one of the arguments we've made is that technology preference regarding whether it's a cell tower, satellite, or distributed antenna system, there's case law out there in New York that states that this is not a topic that a local government can regulate. So the case law was related to a Clarkstown code that kind of tried to force applicants to do distributed antenna systems rather than cell towers. And the courts have struck that down, finding that that is impermissible, going beyond their jurisdiction. They have now regulated technology preference, which is something for the FCC to regulate. So, however, that would be just saying you can't review alternative technologies would be the initial response to that comment. However, we have reviewed alternative technologies through this application. So regardless of the case law that prevents this board from making a determination for what it considers another alternative technology, we reviewed that the DAS system or distributed antenna system wouldn't be able to replicate the coverage from this macro facility. And satellite services has so many issues, they also would not be able to replicate service from this facility. However, again, as another belt and suspenders, there is a part of the code that requires that we put a removal bond out so that in the unlikely event satellite or another technology comes out and makes this tower obsolete, there would be the funds set aside in a removal bond so the town could have the facility removed if it ever became obsolete due to a newer technology.
Amazing.
Regarding minimum height necessary, Cityscape has said this in 3 different memos. 100-foot height is the minimum height necessary. And we do remind the board that we did look at a taller tower at 150-foot height, and we reduced it to this 100-foot height. So, and regarding alternative sites, I believe that's also been reviewed. Not only did we have Cityscape review the potential for co-location, which was there no potential for, we also, at the request of the current supervisor, we reviewed Over Mountain Conservation Area to see if there was potential to locate a facility there. Although that would have been on the ridge and probably more prominent and visible, that wouldn't have been able to fill in the gap in coverage. So we reviewed alternative sites and we couldn't find any alternative sites that were less intrusive than this particular site. So I also think in Cityscape's most recent memo, they've also stated that not only have we met the criteria from an RF standpoint under the code, They've also explicitly stated that this is the least intrusive means to fill a significant gap in service, which now means that this is now meeting the standard under federal law, that a denial of this application would amount to a prohibition of service. So for all those reasons, we do respectfully request that this board direct staff to start preparing documentation for a decision.
Great.
So, I just want to clarify that, the memo, that my firm wrote, the implication is not that the applicant has not put material in on the issues that have been raised. The brief that we were given by the planning board was to look at the issues that were raised by the Conservation Advisory Council and to discuss those issues. So there are many areas where CAC comments have been raised where the applicant has put in a significant amount of material that's in the record. But we discussed pretty much every issue, I think, that the CAC raised, just so that you would have the benefit of that discussion going forward.
Thank you.
Agreed, and that's why I tried to bring it as not objecting to the letter, more just to answer the questions that were.
Good evening, Nan. How are you? Can you hear us?
Yep, I was unmuting myself. Sorry.
All right, I guess we're ready for a site plan and special use permit, and we're looking for your guidance to get us started.
Okay, well, as you know, the zoning law, has, a series of criteria that it asks the planning board to go through in making a decision about site plan and special use permit. And there is overlap between some of those criteria between the site plan and the special use permit. Keeping in mind that the site plan is oriented to the things on the ground, where things are, the structures, how they function on the parcel. The special use permit is oriented to the specific use. So the special use permit is oriented to this use is a telecommunications tower. The site plan looks at where the tower is, where the access road is, where the landscaping are, and things like that. And there is some overlap. And so quite a while ago, I sent to you the charts that we developed, that's the special use permit criteria and the site plan permit criteria. I don't know if those were copied off and you have those. I can put them up on the screen. So really the stage that you're at, and the other thing I want to say is that many of the topics that are discussed in these criteria are also things that you have already been discussing for seeker. So there is a lot of overlap. You'll see, it talks about whether it's consistent with the natural environmental features or whether it's consistent with, the environmental conditions of the area. So this should not be like starting from anew from you on many of these things. But I think maybe that the place to start is to really use this chart and just start going through it. Let me share my screen. If you can let me share my screen.
Go ahead.
Can you have them allow me to share my screen?
Do we get to go?
Let's try again. Here we go. Okay. So this is the chart that we developed for all site plan reviews. And a while ago, I forget when it was that I mailed you this or I emailed you this. The standards are listed here. These were my opinions. They don't necessarily have to be your opinion. You need to go through each one of these and decide how you feel about each one. So, I don't think there's any other way of going through this other than just starting at the first criteria in identifying, having a discussion and a vote of whether you think that criteria has been met with the application as you know it.
Okay,
So the first one is it's compatible with basically the comprehensive plan, which you have discussed. There was a specific question in on the EAF that asked that very same question about whether it was consistent with the comprehensive plan.
Yeah, right.
yeah, I believe so.
Is everyone okay with that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. So then the next one is are adjacent properties protected from nuisances caused by noise, traffic, noxious or harmful odor, fumes, vibration, and glare of lights? And how do you feel about that? I don't think any of those features are associated. We did look at the noise from the generator and determined in seeker that that was not a significant issue.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
yeah,
that-
there isn't
that
really
there
anything
no-
there.
The next one is basically a series of environmental features that the zoning has deemed to be important, and whether there will be whether this project allows preservation as much as possible is the word that it used. All of these features: hills, water bodies, wetlands, vernal pools, stream buffers, streamside vegetated buffers, etc. And that also was something that was significantly looked at during seeker. I think you had previously determined that there were none of those other features were on the site. And on there's certainly some of those on the parcel, but not on the site where the tower is actually going to be.
Agreed.
The next one is whether there's adequate facilities for off-street parking, loading, drainage, snow removal, fire protection, and methods of solid waste disposal. The only one that I said, I don't think any of these are part of this application, but I don't recall if in seeker, did we talk about fire? Did this get looked at by the fire department for access to the fire department?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Amended the site.
Okay.
So we're okay on that one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There also is a letter on the record.
Okay, the next one is that roads, pedestrian ways, access driveways, loading areas, etc., are properly designed and operated for public convenience, public safety, consistency with rural road standards, and desired aesthetic character. The only there is an access road to the tower that was reviewed in terms of whether it meets the other standards of the law. I don't think in my conversations with you, I don't recall you ever saying anything about concerns related to that access driveway.
No.
No.
It's very old.
And it's existing kind of.
It's that one that's right there.
Yeah, so we're just improving it.
Are you all set with that one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, the next one is that pollution of air, streams, wetlands, ponds, lakes, soils, and groundwater supplies is avoided to the maximum extent practical, or mitigated. And we looked at, we looked at drainage and erosion control on the site. There's no well that is on the site. There's no wetlands and ponds, lakes. There will be some soil disturbance. I guess my opinion was that the erosion and grading plan that's been included with the plans have been reviewed and have been deemed adequate to control runoff and stormwater.
Agree.
The next one is, you've talked a lot about it. Development will be compatible with its surroundings and in keeping with the character of the town of Ancrum. So a lot of, this is where you received, it certainly was discussed during seeker, you received photo simulations from different locations to show you what it likely could be. You've talked about the visual impacts significantly. So from a seeker perspective, I think ultimately you decided that was not a significant adverse environmental impact, but the site plan law is basically asking the same question for you.
So the answer to this would be, it is a change in the visual character, but the planning board would determine it isn't a significant or it's acceptable change. I'm not sure how to, I mean, it's a necessary part of putting up a tower that you're changing the visual impact.
Right. I mean,
Well, yeah, but in general though, will it be compatible with surroundings and keeping with the character of the town? So it's.
Yeah.
And so, but it's one that we would then decide that was acceptable.
Yeah.
so I mean, we could just say that it there will be a change in visual character, but that you determined through seeker that it was not an significant adverse impact, which is what you did. Unless you want to say something more or different.
I guess I see this little two different questions. I mean, seeker asked a little bit, I think a little bit different question. Because that seeker was asking whether it was a significant impact, and you will see it, but this is saying is it compatible with surroundings. So I would say it's I don't think anything's the outside of mountains and farms is compatible, but I think it's a necessary piece of the project. You can't really avoid it. You either have it or you don't. I'm not sure the best way to word it.
It's there.
Also, wow.
But it would also be helpful to review what you guys put in part 3 EAF on this particular topic, because while your focus is on visual, I think the question is broader than that. So if you guys did discuss that, even though this is going to be the first cell tower in areas that is a change, it wouldn't be a change that would take away from the farming community. The SCOC would still continue to protect Ancrum's scenic resources. And then although, this is a new use in the area, it's not going to paint the essential character of the community. So I just throw that out there as some statements that you guys have reviewed before, that while you're looking at visual, I think the question's a little bit broader than that, and that our impact is not going to change this to the point where no longer is. But I do understand the statements.
Yeah, because this says compatible, which is different than visual.
Agreed with that.
Yeah.
And just as another stand, if this is the only cell tower and the denial is that a cell tower of itself is a change, that would be a violation of federal law.
And and it doesn't, I mean, more broadly, it doesn't stop people from farming or from, enjoying, their properties. People can still build, that have parcels can still build homes. But, so I guess, the question that it's looking for is, does it meet this criteria that the development will be compatible with its surrounding and keeping with the character of the Ancrum? So is that a yes or a no? And why do what's the rationale for that?
We submit that it has to be, yes, people are using cell phones and handheld. This is a service that people are already using, and as you just stated beforehand, the use itself is not going to detract and prevent any of the existing ongoing uses.
And I just wanted to add something so that the term that's used here is compatible, right? And that I'm looking at a few of the meanings of compatible. It basically is meaning that it's capable of existing together in harmony with. And I think that if you take into account, in addition to that definition, the fact that the town board made two determinations, which we sort of discussed in detail in our memo. One was that back in 2011, you decided that you wanted to have telecommunications facilities in Ancrum, that you wanted to be able to have cell coverage in the town. I think the goal was eventually to get coverage over the entire town. And another decision was made later in 2014 when the Scenic Corridor Overlay Zone was enacted. The decision was made to allow telecommunications facilities in that zone. And as we pointed out to you in the law that created the SCAS, there's a section of prohibited uses, things you can't do in that district. And so there was an opportunity for the town board to ban certain uses, and to do that in this case if they didn't think they wanted it there. They didn't add this use to that list. And then later on in the SCAS law, you'll see that telecommunications towers are discussed specifically. So if you take those factors and you think about compatibility in terms of what you're thinking, thinking about what will work in harmony with what we want for Ancrum, that's a way to come at that question.
I think that's very helpful. I mean, I would look at the character issue that the town board through the zoning code and the laws express the character of the town, either saying it's a farming community, it's this, it's that. And so in that regard, if they put this in the zoning code, if they expressly put it in, then it's not incompatible.
Yeah, and I think to build on that, Tom, is that sorry, I'm losing my voice, but to build on that is that if you read the intentions of the town board in enacting the telecommunications law, it's not a one-dimensional statement about what they want to do, that they said all the things that I just said to you about wanting coverage and but they also talked about maintaining character and making sure that the towers that you do get, that attention is paid to minimizing visual intrusion. So they took a balanced approach, and I think that balanced approach goes to the issue of compatibility.
And to that point, they specifically lower height for their over and stuff.
So I would say, putting it against the town zoning code and how they express it, I would say it's compatible with the character.
I would agree.
Anything else that you want to discuss on this one?
Which one?
The one we've been discussing. The last one. You guys can't see out here from where you are, but
Nan's kind of summarizing our discussion in her notes there. Yeah, you can't read it. No, I can't read it. That one you can see better.
I can try and make this a little bigger.
No, it's perfect.
That's case.
Yeah.
That's someone breaking the.
So are you ready to move on?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So the criteria are split up into general criteria for all commercial site plans. And then there's some specific things that it goes into. It asks if there's consistency with commercial design standards as required by the town of Ancrum zoning law. If you remember that there are specific design standards for buildings, roof pitch, general architectural kind of design guidelines. And, this doesn't really apply. We don't have any of those things that apply to this particular process. Another criteria is whether the location, arrangement, size, design, and general site compatibility of buildings, of which there's one, lighting and signs, including compatibility with setbacks and build-to lines of surrounding structures. It meets the setbacks that are stated in the law. We did look at the location of the utility building that's associated with it. And so you have to, I felt that these had been addressed when, the reviews of the actual location and dimensions of the things on the ground, the various features on the ground. Do you feel that these have been adequately addressed?
Yeah.
Thank you.
What was that? I didn't hear that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. The next one is glare and light pollution that may be associated, has been minimized or eliminated. I don't think that there was any glare or light pollution that would be you identified from this.
Great.
Yeah, great.
The next ones, is it consistent with the town of Ancrum highway specifications? Is there sufficient off-screen parking, screening, and loading? Is there that pedestrian traffic access and circulation adequate? These were not really the typical features of a telecommunications site.
I agree.
The next one looked at adequacy of stormwater and drainage facilities. I believe you had George Smith reviewed, the site plans from reviewed the stormwater plans from adequacy for best management practices for erosion and stormwater.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the current plans that that are in front of you have deemed those to be, you have deemed those to be, I guess I'd say, do you deem those to be adequate?
Yeah.
Yes.
The next one is not applicable because it's looking at the adequacy of water supply and sewage disposal facilities. The next one you've talked about, but it certainly was a discussion during seeker whether the adequacy, type and arrangement of trees, shrubs, and other landscaping. You've already required visual information to look at that, and this looks like, this gives you kind of permission to require other kind of visual or noise buffers, including maximum retention of existing vegetation on the property. And we had they have added some additional screening at the edge of the vegetation along the road, where it exists. So I think that this one is, whether you feel the landscaping that's been added meets this criterion, that they're adequate in terms of its type, arrangement, and location on the parcel to address the screening needs.
Yeah, I think that's adequate.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else on that one?
No.
Adequacy of utilities, this is, yes. Did someone have something?
No.
Sorry. Newly installed utility service systems and service revisions shall be installed underground. When feasible, above ground utility service systems shall be placed underground, or existing above utility service systems shall be placed underground. So, correct me if I'm wrong, my recollection is that there are you can ask the applicant. I don't recall whether there are any above ground wires going to the tower.
These are underground.
I think they're all underground, aren't they?
They're underground too. There's gonna be a utility pole where the other utility poles are along Route 92. And then from there, so it's underground in the property, but we get to the above ground utility pole where the existing ones are.
And in the monopole, the utilities run inside.
Absolutely.
And what was the distance between the pole and the monopole? The utility pole and the monopole?
Well, it doesn't go a straight line to the street where it was set back 100 feet from the street. It goes a little bit to the north and then it goes east as it follows the utility route. I can pull it up, but it's not a straight line, so I don't know if we have a measurement that's going to show you distance like that.
Okay.
But
there's
like a 200 foot, because we're going a little further north and then the 100 foot distance to the road, so it's not very long.
That design was really required by the utility company. We don't have much say in that. They tell us go pole, we move above, and then as soon as they tell us pole from there, we go underground the whole way.
But yeah, our part of the project is underground utilities until we get to their pole.
So there is another pole added?
No. Their pole that's existing along.
You're just coming off of their pole.
Oh, okay. So there's an existing pole.
Yeah, where the poles are along Route 22, they will have a pole there, where we're not putting anything on our property.
Right.
Okay. So from that point over, it's underground.
Yeah, correct.
Okay. So does the board feel that meets this criteria?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Adequacy of site accessibility, fire lanes and other emergency zones, and the provision of fire hydrants. The buildings shall be accessible to emergency vehicles. We talked about this just a minute ago. I think you mentioned that the access and the fire department's ability to assess the site is adequate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The next one is adequacy and impact of structures, roadways, and landscaping in areas with susceptibility to ponding, flooding, or erosion. These shall be reviewed and approved by an engineer, reviewed by the planning board, which we have done. And where the site is, there was no ponding and flooding, and the erosion, that they did have an erosion control plan.
Yeah.
So I didn't, I think that's either a yes or not totally applicable.
Yeah.
The next one is whether it's the location and adequacy of measures proposed to protect biodiversity and environmentally and ecologically sensitive areas of the parcel. We know that there are other things on the parcel, but did you raise any, or do you have any concerns about impacts on habitats or species on the part that's going to be developed?
No, I don't think so. No, very small parcel.
This next one is noise levels and whether there's noise that may be generated from the project. It says the planning board shall ensure that no nuisance noise results from the project.
I think we discussed that, there was the generator issue, we decided that it was not as described any level to be significant.
Exercise a half hour or whatever.
Okay. The next one is similar to the compatibility that we talked about a few minutes ago, that it's compatibility with neighborhood character and the overall rural character of Ancrum. Site plans shall be designed to be consistent with and protective of Ancrum's rural character. Which also comes up in the telecommunications law. So is this, how do you feel? Is this different from the compatibility that we talked about?
On the other question?
On the other question?
I think it's the same.
Yeah, I think it's basically the same.
Yeah, because this is development will be compatible with its surroundings and in keeping with the character of the town of Ancrum.
And again, I think you could argue that, like, yes, the cell tower is different, but if you look at the decisions of the board and all the laws that they talked about, there's the acknowledgement that that evolution is necessary, and I think that's the compatibility.
Okay. And I think when we look at the criteria a little further with the telecommunications law, the same question will come up again. Then compatibility with active agricultural activities. Does this have any impact on either on the site ability to have agriculture or other agricultural activities in the area?
No.
No, this parcel isn't being used for agriculture anyway. It's kind of offshoot from near the barn there. They're not farming it.
You could even make an argument that it is somewhat compatible since a lot of agricultural activities use cellular data as part of their work process.
I mean, we said no, but the way the question is, we should say yes.
We would also respectfully submit that although this is a different type of structure, other farms sometimes have similar structures like windmills. So usually a small structure of this size is sometimes not on a farm.
Well, the barn is staying.
The barn, I believe, we're not removing anything. I don't know who the owner is going to try to fix up the barn. And part of this is when he gets some rent, he's going to use that to improve his property. We'll try to fix up.
Yeah, I think he says they're gonna fix the hole in the roof.
No, I was just curious, just getting everything in there from that little road. Interesting.
He has other access to the property.
Is just a question, is the access road going to the tower different from accessing the barn or the rest of the parcel? Is there another access way in there?
Yeah, it's a huge farm.
There is, yeah.
So I guess what I'm wondering is if someone wanted to farm that parcel, would they be able to access that parcel for farming?
Absolutely, and that was a statement that's actually included in the neg deck. But here, so.
I don't think they're using this access.
So they have an access right here, and this is the access we're going, it's just right north to south. And again, just regarding the previous question that was discussed. Here's the underground electrical to the existing utility pole. So again, we're not proposing it.
They're not using this access to get to the building.
Correct, right? He has other
I
access.
think the very point that our facility is not gonna block any existing
No,
access
it's-
being used at all.
Correct. And there is, as I stated, so this is the access we're using. This is also the secondary access he has right for.
Yeah, this farm goes all the way down to the farm market.
Exactly. This is
It's
other,
153 acres, I think,
It's
we're
a
not
big
blocking.
parcel.
and of the two access roads, this is the lesser improved one. This is the lesser use.
Okay. So you're comfortable with saying that it's compatible with active agricultural activities?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. The last one here, consistency with the Hudson River Greenway Compact. If you recall, and I don't know if you've looked at those recently, but they're really oriented to the location of retail and residential buildings, siting in rural areas. It really doesn't address towers. I mean, it's not incompatible with it, but it just, I'd say it's more, it's not terribly applicable.
Does it have to be answered yes or no, or do we just say?
No, I think you have to decide whether it's consistency with the Hudson River Greenway Compact, which, really looks for promoting rural character, open space, environmental protection, citing, good citing of development so that you're not, eliminating those kinds of rural landscapes.
So in that regard, because looking at siting, we've gone through quite a bit on the location of it. And we probably reached a point that's probably the sort of sweet spot to put it at them. So I would say, based on that, yes.
Nan, am I
Yes.
confused, but isn't the Hudson River Greenway Compact biking trail? And this is just confirming that we're not going to interrupt the biking along the greenway?
No, I think it's the compact is more than the biking trail. The Greenway Compact was developed many years ago. That basically the community that joins that, has agreed to participate in the Greenway Compact looks at all sorts of those rural and environmental development guidelines. I mean, I think the trail is part of it, but that's not the only piece of it.
Understood. I always thought it was related to the trail, and our response was that, we wouldn't affect the biking, and that the services provided probably would help someone navigate there, but. No.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. This is not a subdivision, so that these criteria were all related to a subdivision. Or it's not an abbreviated site plan review for single family or two family. It's not an agricultural structure, ag tourism, or other agricultural use, not farm worker housing. So those were the criteria that were stated in the zoning law for site plan review. The next section I listed here for you the specific items from the telecommunications law that are oriented to, like, what are the development standards or the performance expectations that are laid out in the telecommunications law, many of which are similar to the general criteria that we've just gone over. But there are 6 of them that were in the telecommunications law. So similar to what we talked about a minute ago. You know, it's looking for compatibility with the neighborhood character and the overall rural character of Ancrum. Site plans shall be designed to be consistent with and protective of Ancrum's rural character.
Is rural character mean?
Say that again.
So I was just thinking, what exactly does rural character mean in sort of this day and age?
Yeah, well, there actually that is discussed and defined in the comprehensive plan. It's kind of a combination of all of the features that are in Ancrum, you know, the kind of rural landscape that's a mix of low density residential uses, agriculture, forested areas, rural roads, those all contribute. The zoning law actually has a definition of rural character in it, so you can look at that as well. So these, I'm trying to think, this was, sorry, I was reading this last one. These are not from the telecommunication tower law. These are extra ones from what the section O is criteria to determine compatibility with Ancrum's character. So these 6 items were included in the zoning to help you do just what you were asking about, determine whether it's, you know, how do we define and rural character and whether this project is consistent with that. So sorry, this was not the telecommunication towers criteria. That comes in a minute. So let's continue down this. So getting at your question about what's Ancrum's rural character, one of the things we look at is the relationship of buildings and site to adjoining areas. Residential uses proposed adjacent to a residential district or use shall be reviewed with regard to minimizing the impact of the commercial development on the district or the use. So, I guess the question is in your extensive discussions during seeker and talking about consistency with the community, do you feel that you have minimize the impact of the commercial development, which this is, on adjacent uses in the district as a whole? So that would be the whole SCAS and the whole ag district.
I'm just going through the zoning code, looking at definitions of rural character in there.
Is that helpful?
Yeah, it is. I mean, they mention the words rural character quite a bit, but I'm looking for something where they give a little more of a description of what they're trying to achieve.
A lot of times, I work outside. Like I have broken piece of equipment, take a picture of it. And I send it to the repair place, and like trying to figure out what part I need to get, do different things. Like today, I've been sitting here right during this meeting, how many of you guys had your phones in your hand, looking up things and doing things, right here during this meeting?
Yep.
I mean, I've been watching, everybody's got it, everybody's doing it.
I feel like we answered this question. Didn't we?
Correct, you went through O
We
and
went
and
through
filled
O.
out all, you answered it, no, these are sub questions to O.
Yeah.
You've already answered it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, that's good. So interesting to
So do you not want to go through these?
Well, we answered the question, didn't we, on the previous page or no?
Okay. All right. I understand. Okay. So from the site plan criteria, these are the things that you need to make sure that you have addressed prior to moving forward with site plan approval. So there wasn't anything that you identified that was, you know, opposite of the criteria that have been laid out. For the site plan consistency.
Correct.
So if we then look at, the special use criteria, we have, similar types of questions to go through, to determine whether this is consistent with the criteria specific to the special use permit. So why don't we go through those? So there have, there's these are the exact words that the zoning uses. So the criteria is their consideration of public health, safety, and welfare.
Yeah.
I mean, you certainly have looked at access for emergency services. You looking at the use of the tower to improve cell service, which is part of safety and the welfare of the community. Consistency with the purposes of the zoning law. For that, you'd have to go back and look at the very first section of the zoning law that outlines the various purposes of why there's zoning. And it's everything from health, safety, and welfare to protecting the environment, promoting agriculture. There's, I don't know, probably 10 or 12 purpose statements in the zoning.
We've talked pretty extensively about the fact that this is in line.
Yeah.
With
I agree.
existing zoning law.
Okay. The next one refers to consistency with the site plan criteria, which we just went over. And so that one, you determined that it was consistent with the site plan criteria.
Yeah.
The next one is really not applicable because it's talking about the adequacy of parking, and we already, I guess not applicable for parking, but accessibility to fire, police, and emergency vehicles. You're comfortable that it addresses that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Again, there's a lot of redundancy in some of these criteria. The proposed use shall not, the proposed use shall protect natural environmental features and will not negatively impact traffic or have greater overall impact on the site and its surrounding than would full development of uses of the property permitted by right. So what this is really getting at is, because this is a special permit, it's asking you to say, is this as protective of the natural resources and the traffic and other features of the area as if a use that was permitted by right? In this case, it would be a house. So is this as protective of the natural environment and these other features that it mentions, compared to something else that could have been developed there on that site by right without having to go to the planning board? So you could look at the use table in that district and in the SCAs and compare development of a cell tower to those permitted uses.
This is in an agricultural district,
Right.
so you could have a lot of farming activities of permitted uses.
Right. There's other things that are allowed as a permitted use. Houses are allowed, single family houses are allowed.
No, I'm just looking in terms of, it's certainly less odorous than some farming, and it's certainly not as noisy as some farm uses.
So I would say the answer to that is yeah.
Yes.
Is everyone comfortable with that?
Yep.
Um. Consistency with the requirements of site plan approval, we just went through all of that. That the vehicular traffic access and circulation is adequate to serve the special use and not negatively impact the overall traffic circulation system of the neighborhood and the town. I mean, I was thinking that that's not applicable, but you could also say, you could discuss that in terms of what traffic impacts does this have? And I think we talked about that when you went through seeker. There's how often does anyone drive into service the tower after it's operational?
Usually state that it's approximately once per month, and then the one technician with a single pickup truck, but it's more likely to be much less frequent than that.
So that's certainly a lot less traffic generated than even a house would have.
Right.
Yeah.
Or a farm.
So this one is that the location, arrangement, size, nature, intensity of operations are compatible with the neighborhood, rural and small town character, and safeguard the values of the surrounding properties from noise, glare, unsightliness, or other objectionable features. What I mean, we talked about the character issue before. Is there anything about, any other aspect of the tower, its size, its location on the parcel, its intensity of use? Are you satisfied that it safeguards surrounding properties from noise, glare, unsightliness, or other objectionable features?
We also respectfully submit that we did submit a property value impact review that confirmed that the facility would not create a negative detriment to property values.
I think it's very hard to go over and say that, you can't unsee it.
Yeah, I mean, it's not gonna be invisible, but.
Yeah.
It's camouflaged.
But if it's an allowed use, then it's something that you would expect to be there. It's not as if they're asking for something that isn't an allowed use. So I feel in some ways you have to accept the fact of what it is. And the impact is visual as opposed to other impacts that can be listed in here.
Yeah, as far as noise and odor.
Yeah, once through noise, odor, everything else, this is all visual impact. The land use is very small. So does this have to be answered yes or no, or do we?
Well, you just need to it's not really a yes or no, but you have to be satisfied that that this criteria has been met with the current site, the current use and how it's situated on the parcel.
I think the only other discussion, or we've had a lot of discussions, one of the other discussions we've had on this topic or that feels relevant is about the efforts that have been made in terms of the placement, like it's not on a ridge line, it is against like the hill or mountain that's behind it, and the camouflage, like those are measures that have been taken in terms of the arrangement or design. You not see a tower. Like, it doesn't look at it, but. We talked about those as specific examples of like mitigations to try to.
We looked at
minimize.
other examples.
Yeah.
This seems to be the best scenario. given what people-
Another.
Just to piggyback on that, the standard is to eliminate, but it was to safeguard, so I think that you reviewed it and putting things in the application like can fly, do some down, they help safeguard these features. But the standard's not a limit.
Yeah.
Good. Move on,
Okay.
please.
The special use shall not negatively impact historic or scenic features.
We had a chipper concurrent, but there was no historic.
Yeah.
No.
And you know, you identified that there were impacts to scenic features. You determined that in the end of your analysis in seeker that those were not significant adverse impacts. So
Yeah.
Right.
you know, this is again where that interaction between, you've had extensive conversations about this before. So is there anything else you want to say about this one?
No.
Okay, the special use shall be in harmony with the orderly development of the district. So is there anything about this proposal that would prevent other uses that are allowed in that district from occurring?
Not that I think of.
Are you okay with that one?
Yes.
Yeah.
Except for pre-existing non-conforming lots of record, the use shall meet the prescribed area and bulk requirements. So this is, we have looked at the setbacks and, both for the parcel as well as for the special dimensions that are outlined in the telecommunications law. So it does meet those bulk requirements.
Yeah.
This one it kind of goes on to the next page. It's the level of municipal and other services meet the needs of the activity or the use. So you know, this was looking at water and sanitary sewer. None of those things are required for this use.
No.
So what was that, Joe?
Won't affect any of this stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
So those those are the special use, the criteria that were included in the zoning. So the conclusion from going through these specific criteria are that from the site plan criteria and the special use criteria, you have not found anything that were deemed inconsistent with those criteria. Is that an accurate conclusion?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just let me stop sharing for a second. and see if I can find the I don't have
I have a copy of the wireless log that,
I have it too.
what was that?
I have a copy, Nan, of the town of Ancrum telecommunications towers law checklist, if that's what you were looking for.
Yes, that's what I was looking for. I don't seem to have that.
I believe Miss Irving also has a copy as well for the board.
Yeah, sent you what you sent us. So check your email.
Check my email, okay?
It's in that same.
We should go this pretty quickly, bunch of X's.
Yeah, if, in that email, do you know what the title of that file was?
Telecommunications law checklist.
Okay, let me look.
I just sent it to you, your filled out version for them.
Oh, okay. Got it. Okay. Let me share my screen again. There we go. Okay. So similar to the others, the telecommunications law has a variety of expectations and that it asks the planning board to ensure that are met. So we can go over these just like we did the others. Assuming that the application fees are paid and the escrow has been funded again, did that get taken care of today?
Yeah.
Okay. You've had professional engineers sign plans.
Yeah.
There was a preference for latticed towers, but you had extensive review where you looked at different types of towers and you chose the monopole.
Yeah,
Correct.
The next one is whether it's camouflaged or a stealth facility so that the result is not more visually intrusive than a lattice tower. So the stealth facility are the ones, like they make it look like a tree. It's hidden in, a flagpole or somehow covered up. And the camouflage we have talked about in terms of the paint.
We also, if I recall, looked at alternatives.
We did.
To silo.
Yeah, extensively.
Are the antennas painted or just the pole?
the antennas as well. Yeah, the antennas are painted as well, and. Yeah, the antennas are painted as well as the mounts and as well as the tower, so all the visible aspects of the tower.
So are you satisfied that that requirement has been met?
Yeah.
A different color than the tower.
Absolutely. If you'd like to paint them purple, if you'd like to paint them green,
I love.
color's purely
I was
subjective.
thinking pink.
Yeah, no, we did in review in council's letter, a facility where they had painted the antennas green. From our standpoint, we think that would actually cause more visual observers to be attracted to it, because it's not gonna look like a tree. And we think the one monotone color actually makes it less visually noticeable. So that's why we propose that, but absolutely, if it's color, we're open to any color.
Okay.
That again, we can choose. We can provide swatches as part of the final approval. We can select a particular color. We usually use a color that most resembles like a tree trunk. The name is exactly escaping me now, but we use a matte finish. So it's not glossy and doesn't shine, but we can absolutely provide.
Can you bring a sample?
We can absolutely. We'll bring 3 color brown swatches for the next meeting.
Perfect.
Okay. The next one is is the tower placed in locations where topography and cover minimize the visual impacts?
Tower's actually set lower than the road.
Yeah.
Hoping to disguise it just to start.
So you are comfortable that that criteria has been met?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Similar to the next one, it's sited off of ridge lines and where visual impact is least detrimental to significant scenic areas or placed in heavily wooded areas if available.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's in as wooded as you can get for that area.
Yep.
Number 8 is at all times co-location on existing towers and appropriately camouflage use of existing or new structures shall be preferred over the proposed construction of new towers.
Well, there's no other structures that are.
Right. Right. The design is the least visually obtrusive of all reasonable options.
Yeah, I think we looked at the available options and we decided on the monopole.
Okay. Number 10 is it's cited to have the least adverse visual effect on the environment, view shed, and residences in the town.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that was the conclusion of or the whole site review.
Okay. 11 is that related facilities shall maximize the use of building materials, colors, textures, and architectural styles that blend with the surroundings. Refresh our memory on the utility building and what the exterior of that is.
So we don't actually have any shelters or buildings, so they're open.
Oh, it's not.
Equipment. So what we had decided, remember, was we were putting privacy slats on the
that's right.
On the side of the fence that's viewing the Harlem Valley Rail Trail. So that would conceal views into that equipment area. Although, again, it is noted that those views are from a very far distance, well over 2,000 feet.
Okay. And is that satisfactory to the planning board?
So, yes.
Was there any additional landscaping on the 22 side?
Correct. Yeah. And on the 22 side, so yes, that on the 22 side, we put 7 additional trees to provide landscaping.
Right.
But as was stated earlier, because the ground elevation is lower than 22, we put that there, but usually the topography overshoots views of that. And we showed that on the views that were closest to the tower on 22. You could only see the top of the tower. You couldn't see any of the base of the equipment compound.
Okay, that's what I thought I remembered.
Next.
Okay. Maximum height of 100 feet, not artificially lighted, made of materials and color to harmonize with the surroundings, and designed and sited to avoid the application of lighting.
Yes.
Okay.
We did have a lighting report submitted, but we don't rely on that.
One notification sign no larger than 2 square feet visible from the access point of the site. No other signs allowed. I believe that
Are there any?
is on the site plan.
Sometimes there would be like an R sign on the fence on the outside, and generally there was a sign that denotes information about the site, including access or do contact.
Is an emergency number?
Exactly. We have an emergency. No, yeah, it's on the fence compound, so it wouldn't be visible from the road. But again, just as
And it's
business
no
stated.
bigger than 1 by 2.
Absolutely, we can make it whatever size we want. It's just for emergency contact in case someone accesses the site and they need to call us to get there. You have an emergency contact.
Can you stay within the 2 square foot
Yeah,
visible?
Absolutely, we can do that. Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't care what shape you make.
Yeah, usually it's 1 foot by 1 foot, but we can absolutely do that.
We'll make it any bigger.
All right, fencing, the fencing was provided. We just talked about the privacy slats on the one side as well. Setback from any property line or structure is equal to the height of the tower, and I believe the setback is 100 feet.
And that would be the closest property line, all the
The
other.
closest.
Yeah,
I'm thinking of from the road side that was 100 feet.
correct, and the statement being that all other property lines are well in excess of that.
Yep. Utilities are underground. We talked about that. You know, that's how would you characterize? There's a little bit of above ground wire there.
No, we showed on the plans, we're underground to the existing utility pole that's in Route 22. So no utility poles were proposed by us, and we're underground from the pole to the facility.
Okay, got it. Emergency access, we have talked about. Use of the tower by other emergency service providers, to use the tower rent-free for their transmissions. I don't recall that being discussed.
We have no objection to that being a condition of the approval resolution on the very top of the tower being reserved for town of Akron. But what I say, no regarding that.
Would the chief like to add anything to that?
We actually had this stipulation put in on the tower that's on Multnomah Hill. And quite honestly, it's been very difficult to get the town for the county. The fire district is willing to pay to have everything installed. County has to license it. And the county wants to have control of everything, so they will not license us to do it, so. Well, it would be very generous, and we would appreciate it. County won't go on the tower, they don't own 100%. And it's just the way they call it. But it works out really good. A lot of the counties around us go on every single tower. That works out. But the biggest thing that is gonna really intend for us is telecommunication.
Just the self-service.
That's out there.
Yeah, that's gonna make that whole quarter really easy for you.
And the applicant has a really good history of working with other municipal entities. So while we can't make any promises if the county won't join, we can offer to at least reach out to the county and try to discuss with them.
But regardless, having that as a condition and that we reserve the right time to have.
Okay, and that's free of charge.
With no recurring back to you. I mean, I put a little caveat there, but I'm not gonna pay for the equipment and everything, I'll have the space there for you.
But you're not gonna
And
charge rent.
ability to.
Correct.
have
We won't charge rent, but
Yeah,
yeah,
I'll
yeah.
charge rent, but I can't find the.
Repeater,
Yeah.
I know
you
I know.
that for a lot of things with that. but
I know where you're at, yeah.
Warranty issues and things, so I can't.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. The road grades, to assure minimal visual disturbance and reduce soil erosion potential. I think that was addressed in the site plan.
Yep.
Decommissioning plan to remove 180 days from when operations cease.
Yeah, we have an estimate.
Sorry, Joe, what'd you say?
We have an estimate for that process.
Okay. In the packet, I could look it up. Was there was an up-to-date decommissioning plan?
No, not yet. What we stated is that as a condition of approval, in the initial application, we stated if there was an approval, we would provide one as a condition of approval, be reviewed by, board's engineer from. So.
You sure you didn't submit one? I saw something.
I believe we put together a decommissioning plan. I believe we put together, as we stated, a cost for
Yeah.
decommissioning, but I don't believe we have a plan.
Okay, what I'm referring to is the cost. There was a
Correct.
detailed estimate.
Yeah, and
Chopping the foundation down 6 inches below. I got
Exactly.
ready.
yeah, we have the cost, but yeah,
Okay.
So that if that is acceptable as a plan, we have that be there, but if there's anything that the engineer wants updated.
We probably
just
I guess I would ask John and Kim, since this is a requirement, that a decommissioning plan is a requirement of the telecommunications law, is making it a condition of approval acceptable?
I think so, but we'll check that out.
And again, Nan, I think what was stated earlier is we did provide information on this. We did provide a cost analysis with steps that would be taken. So that is the definition, but we would be willing to offer as a condition of approval to have the board's engineer review it.
Yeah, if you need to elaborate on it, now's the time.
I think something with that's labeled decommissioning plan would be good.
Yeah, well, that's what we did.
Grade to be removed, the foundation down to about 6 inches, dirt, and we see.
Yeah, that's what I read in the estimate. I
100.
think it wasn't a lot of money. It was like 15 grand if I remember somewhere.
It doesn't cost much to take these things down.
Yeah.
You know, it comes down to it, you're just taking the steel off of the crane that'll have it in one day, you rip the fence out, by then all the carriers equipment will be gone, that would make it obsolete, so there's not even much there left to take.
But it says within 180 days.
Well, you know,
We'll double check the plan and if we need to provide.
I think that does triggers a requirement for that removal bond. So that if we did do it in 180 days, you'd be able to use the removal bond for yourself. And take the money out.
It's gonna tell us it's not working.
Well, it is a belt and suspenders, that's as it says, so if we know that it's not operational, we'll take it down based on the operations plan was stated. But I think we're providing also as a removal bond so that no one's there. Then the town has the town has the ability to remove it with funds provided bond.
Understand.
Okay.
That's acceptable.
Okay, so those details will be forthcoming.
I believe that the cost was already provided, but we can provide a letter before the next meeting, resuscitating this.
Yeah, if you want to combine them into one.
Sure, we can do that.
I think we really need one document that says decommissioning plan.
Make sure.
This way it's very clear in the package that that's what it is.
Okay. All right, we'll make a note of that. The next one, I wasn't really sure how to answer. There's certificates that the tower is grounded and installed with surge protectors.
It's grounded and bonded, those notes are on the plans. Surge protectors, the tower itself isn't something like an electronic component that would have a surge protector. But the tower is grounded and bonded, so it's protected for light.
Well, the fact that the tower is grounded, this seems like a simple electrical certification of the tower, with everything's complete, showing that everything's grounded properly, generally, the tower is grounded, it's a fence post and all that gets grounded into the ground, and that's usually part of the certificate occupancy process after the tower is complete.
But there are notes on the plan about ground and bonding, I just, surge protectors, nomenclature might not exactly.
I wonder if what they mean is protected from a surge, which is your kind of grounding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the bonded part I was trying to say there. So, yeah, those notes are on the plans.
Okay.
You got a condition of approval, and
I'm sorry, John, what?
we'll make that a condition of approval.
Okay. All right, the next one is the noise levels from the equipment shall not.
Certificate that we get.
I think, generally speaking, I'm not sure exactly how they quoted, but generally speaking, this is something that is added sometimes to a condition of approval as a condition that's required prior to receiving the CO. Yeah.
I'm just looking to make sure that we satisfy the standard in the plan law, which says certificates that the tower was grounded.
Yeah, that's an electrical inspection certificate.
Can't do that to your building, no.
It's like, so it can be a condition of the approval that's required prior to a CO, but not prior to a BP.
Exactly after construction.
Exactly, yeah. And that's normal.
All right, the next one is noise levels from equipment shall not exceed 40 decibels at the property lines and right of ways. And they did have a noise study. All right, sorry, go ahead.
During construction, there are several third-party inspections that we have done. All that gets generally submitted after it's complete, prior to getting a CO. That includes concrete and foundation testing. third party inspection, so.
You have
general
controlled
construction,
inspection.
And then one of those third party is the electrical inspection.
Okay.
So,
So it's definitely included in you.
yes, very good.
Thank you. Sorry, Dan, go ahead.
No, that's okay. So I was just saying that they did include noise information for the generator. And at the property lines, it was not shown to be anywhere near that 40 decibels. No agreements or that limits, prohibits, or precludes co-location. That's, I think you've talked about from the beginning, the desire to have space to co-locate.
And we have a letter submitted on behalf of the applicant explicitly stating that as part of the record.
Okay. The FAA Part 77 compliance.
They were noticed, and again, there's no light required on that.
This one is, I don't believe we have discussed this, that they talked, the zoning talks about, or the telecommunications law talks about as a condition of the permit that it would be a 5-year term. And if in compliance, it would be a renewable 5-year term.
So this is pretty standard for telecom special permits. Essentially, the special permit that you would award us would have a 5-year term. And that at the expiration of which we would have to write a letter to this board to basically state tower still in operation, we're still continuing the use, and then you would renew that 5-year term. This also provides the town and the board an opportunity to do checkups on the facility. You can review to see, like for instance, the brown painted design. In 5 years, is that going to be fading? So you can kind of call us out during the renewal about things to ongoing maintenance and operations of the site. But that is the point of the 5-year renewal. I've seen it in other jurisdictions. Essentially, it's a time limit on the special permit, but almost always they have to get renewed because these facilities generally never go away.
Then we'll have to put a clock in our, or something like that.
Some, the building department should be the one that takes care of that, but in.
That they shouldn't come back here in 5 years.
Well, most of the time in my, I don't know what David's experience is, but most of the time, in my experience, the applicants are actually watching. And usually come, file an application in advance of.
Our attorneys love to give them half the bills every time.
We do remind them. So agreed. So there's a couple of factors here. So one is there's usually a letter submitted, and then it's up to the board if you guys want to have a review, or if you feel that you have enough information in the letter and just want to have the building inspector give another renewal for the permit, or this board taking action through a resolution to grant the renewal. Kind of the method of renewing it is a little bit, I'd have to check the code if there's a specific detailed method. The other aspect would be when this tower is built, we have Verizon on it. Another applicant may come, T-Mobile, to co-locate below. So that also becomes another standpoint for where the tower is being reviewed again. When you have another co-locator, it may not be at this board level, but the town would review it. And so there is sometimes getting, when that happens, when the tower's first built as a 5-year renewal, when you have the co-locators come on, whether or not you're using that review of the co-locator as a way of reviewing the tower and extending the 5-year period from then. So just as an aspect of how you track it.
Okay. We'll have to come up with something, the renewal and who does it.
The next one is maybe associated with the decommissioning. As another condition of the permit is that the owner and the applicant will be required to execute and file with the town a bond or other security in an amount deemed sufficient by the planning board for faithful performance of terms and conditions of the permit. Such bond shall remain in full force until removal of the tower and site restoration.
I think that was what we just discussed earlier. We submitted a response letter for that. The actual bond provided this.
This is talking about a performance bond.
Yeah, because removal bonds aren't.
This is not talking about removal.
I
This is
know.
talking about
Well, it
performance.
says until removal of the tower, and the reason why it's calling it a performance bond is because there's no such thing as a removal bond. Performance bonds are basically a bond to perform a task. So the task here is removal of the tower. Removal bonds are specific nomenclature that we use in the industry, talk about performance bonds for removal of facility. But regarding a performance bond, you normally would have that for public infrastructure, like traffic lights, stuff like that. There's nothing being developed on this property that the town would be able to control or force the development of. So there is no performance bond for anything other than the removal of the tower.
But it talks about performance of the terms and conditions of the permit. So that's maintenance of the landscaping, maintenance of the paint, all of those other, the fencing. Those are things that have to be maintained long-term, that are not associated with removal.
Agreed, but, and that's the point of the special permit renewal. I've never heard of a bond for private development.
Yeah, we'll have to sort this out because I agree with David that normally performance bonds are required in instances where there's infrastructure of the project that's eventually going to become a municipal asset. It's very frequently used in drainage facilities or when roads are going to be constructed. And the reason for the bond is that if the developer fails to, a lot of this kind of infrastructure has to be built out in accordance with the development. And if the applicant fails to put that infrastructure in, the municipality who is counting on that infrastructure being there can draw on the bond and put the infrastructure in themselves. And in the development agreements and approvals, the municipality is given the rights that they need to be able to enter on the properties where this infrastructure is going to be so that they can do the work, et cetera. In this instance, this tower is going to be completely on private property. The assets are private. And I mean, I don't even think the town, with regard to the tower itself, I mean, I just can't think of a reason why they'd be going in to do any work on the tower. I think, Nan, you mentioned the landscaping and things like that. And if they're in violation of the site plan, there are mechanisms that the town can enforce the site plan and issue a violation, compel the applicant to comply with the site plan. And again, that's another advantage of having a renewal every 5 years, which allows, if the site plan's not being observed and there are fights over the violations, there's an opening there at the 5-year mark to not grant the renewal and take away the permit. But I'm not sure that a performance bond is appropriate here. So we'll have to look into that, and that may be an not applicable standard.
Yeah, that's just the way this is written, as if it was to be a performance.
I think it is important, though, to go over and find out what the intent was behind that. And whether it applies to this or not, because it is.
Figure that out. It doesn't matter. The performance bond, the common understanding for a performance bond doesn't really apply.
Right.
I mean, it is in the telecommunications law, not the site plan law. So it is specific to the telecommunications.
And that might be a mistake.
But the wording makes no sense, because you wouldn't leave a performance bond in effect to take the tower down.
And that's why I really
It's
believe
two
it
huge
is
different-
talking about a removal bond. I think the statements we're talking about is for faithful performance of the terms and conditions of the permit. I think as the attorney was just stating, we're out of compliance with our permit and we stay out of compliance with the permit, then this would be a mechanism to remove the tower for an unapproved use. I do believe this is just related to removal of the tower.
I agree. I think, Nan, if you recall, there were instances when we were going through the site plan and the special use permit criteria where there were standards that were identified as being not applicable. I think that is the case here, but another alternative is there is a waivers provision in the telecommunications law, and as long as the planning board decides that there wouldn't be an adverse impact to waiving the requirement, that's another way that we could deal with that standard.
Is it possible to go back to the minutes of when they passed this to see if there was any discussion about the issue? I just want to make sure that they weren't talking about maintenance of landscaping, that they didn't intentionally want to have something to go to in case the site became unsightly.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
We
I'd
could do
have
a
to defer
landscape
to
on
Sarah.
only 7 trees. So
I'd be very surprised if there are 2,000
I'm trying to find
minutes
some idea.
available, and that whether the discussion at the town board level got that granular.
Yeah, I have no idea. I'm just looking for
This is
something.
Yeah, I would be surprised if that information existed.
The way I read it, it seems like they're talking about the decommission.
It seems, well, it's sort of a mixed bag. That's what the problem is.
Using wrong language.
Yeah, these specific.
Well, that's a faithful performance of terms and conditions of the permit. So, terms and conditions of the permit. Yeah, maintaining the facility, and they may have had a different idea. They may be thinking of something that was co-located on the building, and they wanted to make sure that something was maintained on top of the building, located there. I'm just trying to understand.
we'll sort that out.
Somebody like that.
I would say that maintenance bond though is the other known way for this usual bond.
Yeah.
The performance bond, maintenance bond, and the term performance bond is not that, but I understand one. And I do think it's kind of belt and suspenders that bonds there for money, but there is a bit of more of the legal process, all aspects of it, take away the permit.
Yeah, I was saying if we had some inkling of a direction, it would help say, all right, we don't need to do this.
Agreed. I just wanted to make note of that. We feel that this doesn't get to that standard, that there was other aspects in the code that protect.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, just a couple more. These are really things that often come at the end. This next one is before the building permit is issued, the applicant has to provide the assessor information regarding the deed, lease, or license is required for real property tax purposes. That could be just a condition of the permit to remind everybody that has to take place. Then there's reporting after construction, the reports of the tower's structural integrity and inspection every 5 years with report to the town board and the zoning enforcement officer. So that, unless there is somehow changed or waived, that also could be a condition of the permit. As well as the last one, the RF emissions certificate every 2 years showing compliance with federal guidelines.
I think we'll just ask for a copy of your controlled inspection report.
Yeah, these are specific code requirements in the code that we'll have to comply with. So it's part of the 5-year renewal, number 27, or some of the reports that would be submitted with that 5-year renewal. And then
That's gotta be submitted for CO.
oh, it's got to be submitted for the CO. Absolutely, absolutely. But they want it also submitted every 5 years as an update. And then number 28, the RF emissions, we submitted the FCC compliance report. I think they're asking us for every 2 years to submit that. The thoughts being if the equipment changes, we're going to be submitting that. But again, whenever the equipment changes as part of the building permit review, we'll be submitting a report at that time as well.
And that takes us to the end.
So that takes us to the end.
Seated corridor overlay standards, man.
I do not believe I have a checklist for that.
The scenic corridor overlay, so the specific section for wireless facilities in there specifically states that it's approved based on the telecom law, which is that local law number 1 of 2011, and Article 7 of the zoning law. So it specifically carves out only those 2 sections, as well as the written requirement in there that the tower be camouflaged.
So, I think, in my opinion, that we direct council to prepare resolution. John,
Say that again, please.
are we in a position to direct you to prepare a resolution?
Yes.
Okay,
Just for the board members, public hearing is still open, and the next public hearing session is, July 9th. But we can prepare a resolution and subject to any, your public hearing is open, if you're gonna be.
Yes.
prepare a resolution. I guess you got a gist of which way we're going, so not a secret at this point.
Well, you made a determination, like that standards are met.
Yeah.
Okay. We need a motion for that. You want to
Just
take-
ask, does council feel that they have enough time between now and July 9th to complete the documents? If not, we would be agreeable to a special meeting in July, if that would afford them the necessary time to complete things.
Thank you for your concern.
Yeah, thank you for the courtesy, David. We will try to have it for the next regular meeting.
Even if it's a draft, but we can start.
Yeah, yep. Because there is a lot of work that's already been done for the negative declaration, so we're not starting from scratch. We will talk to you now, we'll need some help, so we'll work with you on that.
Okay.
So, we need a motion in that respect. We get a motion, please, to direct our council to prepare a resolution for self-power application.
Make a motion for Homeland Power's application that we direct our council to prepare a draft resolution or resolution? A resolution.
Resolution, it might be a draft,
Resolution, for review by the board of the application.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, hallelujah.
Thanks so much for your time.
Up the champagne.
Thank you all. I know the application is difficult, especially since you're not having to type of thing all the time.
Right.
That's
Thank
my
you.
question.
Thank you for your patience.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Do we need to adjourn?
Yeah, we need a, can I get a motion to, are we done? We're all done, Your Honor?
Please.
yeah,
So, I guess.
We have the public.
I noticed that on the sign coming in for Ankrum PV, it said it was just adjourned to a date to be determined. Is that how you would like to proceed as a date to be determined, or would you like to pick a date that it's next on it?
We have to go and do some homework. The books are a mess.
Okay, so the public hearing for Ankrum Solar is adjourned to a date to be determined.
Until we can get them an amount.
Yep.
And they can get us the sum. I don't know what to say.
Yeah,
They may
I
get the
understand,
amount. and-
Yeah, I just wanted to just for
It-
clarity.
Potentially it could be on again. you
Yeah,
know,
understood. Okay,
the next
yep,
meeting.
that was the only point I wanted to.
Yeah,
make.
I no, I get
Thank
it.
you.
I get it. So,
make a motion to adjourn?
I second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Have a